2, 1. Umair Najeeb Khan. How you doing, Umair?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. ये सही है. So we've recently met at Comic Con. And very मतलब ये देखें, this is the height of optimism. Podcast उस वक्त तक I had come from Hyderabad for the Comic Con because I was invited, and there was no the inclination कि podcast वापस आएगी. कि मैंने बोला podcast करते हैं उमेर.
Yeah.
इसको बोलते हैं optimism, bro. That's why I'm still in Pakistan. What were you doing at the Comic Con? Let's start there.
Comic Con pe I was displaying my Pokemon artwork. Feels like a long time ago, even though if it was not, but it was a great experience. Pata hai, because I've always wanted to kind of see my work on a really big scale.
Yeah.
And this was the first time I could do it. And bada acha experience tha. It was a very refreshing event as well.
Yeah. So tell me, we'll talk about the event in a minute, but tell me what exactly your thing was, the work. Pokemon ka kya tha? Tell me details about that.
So basically, mere kaam mein I try to kind of include my culture a lot. Like I work on representation a lot, Pakistani and brown people representation. So usme I kind of try to imagine us in like mainstream media, mainstream animations, and popular things. I did Pak Legion, which was Pakistani superheroes. I did Bayaban, which was Pakistan in like a post-apocalyptic future setting. So, and I love Pokemon. I've grown up watching Pokemon a lot. So I thought, why not? If we're going for a Comic-Con, and anime was a big part of that Comic-Con. So I wanted to kind of imagine ke Karachi hai aur Karachi mein Pokemons hai, and how would that world look?
And how was the response? I thought it was fantastic. It looked really nice. It was large scale. Lekin how was the response, do you think, to that?
The response was really good. I think one really cool thing was when I was at the event, people did not know that I had made that, but there were a lot of people who were taking pictures with it constantly.
Yeah.
And it was nice to kind of be like in the background, like, just hiding in the crowd. And it was really nice to see like people really like I made this Pikachu, which was a K Electric, employee. And there were so many people taking pictures with it. So it was really nice to see like, people just enjoying art, which is, I think, enough, appreciation and credit.
Do you think that's very interesting that you say that? So one thing that happened while I was there, main wahan pe tha, and you were like, let's take a picture together in front of my installation. And for the life of us, we couldn't. Jo log enjoy kar rahe the, they were like, bhai thoda side mein hate, photo le diya uski,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's very, very interesting, where you did not, to a single one of those people, you were not like, ye maine banaya, meri cheez maine banaya, right? And it's interesting that you said that the best thing that can happen to you is that people start to appreciate your art with no understanding or no cognizance of who you are.
Yeah.
You think that's the spirit of art?
I think for me it is, yeah. Matlab, it's nice to be like known for my art, but it's also fine if people are just enjoying my art without knowing or remembering my face or my name. I think that's good enough if I'm making something and they're enjoying it. Of course, they can't be profiting off it, but
No.
if there's people enjoying my art, I like that because that's why I've made. But I think it's उसमें जो anonymity होती है ना, I enjoy that more because for example, for people who have been following me for a while, if they're looking at something that I've made, they know that I've made it, and in that they kind of just assume ke it's good. I know for a fact ke everything that I make or post is not good or my best work. So it's nice ke it's an anonymous piece of art and people are enjoying it. They don't know who made it.
So like thoda sa objectivity aa jati hai. That's super interesting, because I mean, the reason why I say that is you contrast that with air quotes other artists, where I mean the whole point is for them to be recognizable in public, right? So at what point do you think it stops becoming art and it becomes just a means to an end? Sorry, I burped there. Means to an end, where monsters. Means to an end, where it's no longer about the art. Because देखो, one of the other problems with, well, not the problem, but one of the other facets, अगर हम इस तरीके से सोचे जिस तरीके से आप सोचना चाह रहे हो, तो फिर उसका एक overlaying or underlying message होना लाजमी है. ठीक है ना, और लॉन्ग टर्म उसका एक लाइफ होना, उसकी अपनी एक ज़िंदगी होना लाजमी है कि यार ये खुदा ना खास्ता अल्लाह आपको हयाती दे, लेकिन अगर इवन आफ्टर यूर गॉन दिस थिंग नीड्स टू हैव some kind of life of its own, na? Matlab, not in the typical sense, but like the message needs to be evergreen type situation,
Yeah.
or at least if they look back to your art, they will find, or they should at least find, that's the point of art, they'll find a reflection of the times कि 2023 में कराची में इस इलाके में ये हो रहा था और ये देखो ये पेंटिंग जो है, it is a representation of that. But आजकल more and more the focus is on virality. The focus is on becoming big and being known for being big. It doesn't matter what you're known for. You just need to be big. You just need to have millions of followers. Even if it's for sometimes not the best things in the world, right? So how do you find yourself in this space, and how do you conduct yourself, do you think?
So it's a tricky, like, situation as well as
Because if you want to make money,
Yeah.
you need to be known for this, right?
Yeah.
You can't not be known for this.
Yeah. So it's a little difficult to give a definite answer for it, but I think if you look back a few years before social media and internet, art still existed, and I think that art is probably more lasting. Like, it's still more popular. I feel like जहाँ सोशल मीडिया ने लोगों को एक प्लेटफॉर्म दिया है अपना आर्ट दिखाने के लिए, वहीं पर आर्ट बहुत ज़्यादा भी हो गया है. सो इट्स वेरी सैचुरेटेड एज वेल. इंस्टाग्राम पे you're looking at it, you scroll down and then you see another and then you scroll down. So in all of that, finding your own identity and making your own identity and your brand is very important. But at the same time, you have to remember that you're not a content creator. I do not like calling myself a content creator because I am an artist. I think it's different because content creation की जब बात होती है ना, we just assume that it's being consumed constantly. Art cannot be like that. Like, for example, anytime an agency comes to me for something, like, you're becoming popular on social media, I think the biggest source of earning is working with brands, right? With
absolutely.
agency.
Yeah.
अब उसमें मसला ये होता है कि they kind of box you in the same category as content creators. So, for example, if an influencer is kind of making an ad, just a story, and they're talking about, like, you can buy this water because I'm having this water, and it will take you what, like 2 minutes? Maybe if you do 10 takes, that takes 10 minutes. For an artist to be representing that in the art, it's going to minimum take me like 2 days, maybe 5 days, maybe a week.
That's super interesting. But okay, so a little bit of pushback on both ends. Ek to obviously, we know people who content creator, influencers who it would take a lot longer because unka quality high hota hai and all this. ठीक है, चलो. But that you're saying is not the rule. That is an exception. यहाँ तक तो are these agencies asking you to be like? Does your work need to tell people about the water, or do you Umair need to tell people about the water? Because that's the difference. If they're treating you like an influencer, you can also respond with, हाँ फिर मेरा बूथा होगा, मेरी शक्ल होगी स्टोरी में, वो बोलेगी पानी पी लो, है ना? So what do you think is going on there? Do they not understand this?
See, when agencies reach out, I'm sure you would know of this, they don't reveal the brand. They just say के
rates.
हाँ, rates. Literally ये मैसेज आता है कि rates. क्या we're working on a campaign, अपने rates बता दें. So अब जब वो वेग सी बात करते हैं तो फिर मैं भी आगे से any time any agency approaches me, I just tell them कि 2 rates हैं. एक I am doing something और एक मेरा art कर रहा है चीज़. And they obviously come to me for my art because that's what my profile all of it is. Like, I show myself on stories maybe, but my profile doesn't have my face besides probably the
profile picture
and maybe a couple of reels that I remove later. So when they're coming to me, they're coming for my art. अब उसमें होता भी है कि जो brand managers भी होते हैं ना, people that I really dislike.
Okay.
But वो जो होते हैं वो उसी जल्दी में होते हैं कि आपको अगर I know there are content creators like you mentioned जो बड़े conceptual ads बना देते हैं basically, जो हमारे एड्स से अच्छे हैं, जो टीवी पे एड्स चलते हैं उनसे अच्छी प्रमोशन वो लोग करते हैं. बट यूजुअली दे जस्ट वांट यू सेइंग कि लाइक मुझे पानी की बोतल भेजी है, अच्छा पानी है, आप पी लें,
फिट पानी है, पी लें आप.
बस आप ये करते ना. सो अब if that person is taking 2 minutes to make that or 10 minutes to make that and an artist is taking a week to take that, they don't consider that. Like unke dimag mein nahi aati wo cheez. Every day you would get like 3 messages, we're waiting. The deadline is yesterday. Like when they approach you, it's basically this कि 2 दिन का time है हमारे पास, आप मुझे 1 मिनट की animation बना के दे दें. Which is insane. Like you cannot do that. It's not possible.
So again, I don't think they understand necessarily कि animation होती क्या है, but I don't think most people would, except you and people like yourself. Explain to me what an animation is.
Animation is like you're making one art piece and then you're stitching like 20 together to create 1 second.
Okay, so again, what you're doing is you're making one thing,
Yeah.
and then you're, with subtle differences, making that thing at least 20 times for the first second.
Yeah.
Minimum बात हो रही है, ज़्यादा भी हो सकता है, कम भी हो सकता है, ऐसे?
Yeah, like usually 12 frames per second होती है animation, या 15 hand drawn, but usually yeah, something like that.
Okay, so how long does it take for you to make one of those? One frame.
I'm working on our collaboration right now, the
That's
one that I'm
exciting.
making,
That's exciting,
and that is animated. And I was posting some sketches on my stories as well. And usme just the rough sketching of animation took me like 3-4 hours. And then I have to like, redraw it, clean the lines, color it, do the final touch-ups, and then at the end stitch all of them together and then put the voiceover. So at minimum, it still takes me like a good week, 10 days to create like a 30-second reel.
Do you price it accordingly? Because that's the other problem. No? They look at you and they're like, well, such and such, so-and-so person has 500,000 followers and you don't. So why are you asking for so much money,
exactly.
right? So what's that conversation like?
That is always a problem because I am trying to price it according to my time.
Yeah.
But I think I've also hit a wall that I just don't want to waste my energies with brands because I've had very odd experience. Some have been really good, but for basically jahan brand managers or agencies are looking for an animated ad, I think that's something that I'm kind of running away from. ऊपर से होता ये भी है कि they're not very open to you doing stuff your way.
Of course not. Yeah,
we were discussing earlier. Like there's always a but and there's always like a full stop and there's always like you can only do this.
But the worst thing, I'm sorry, but I'll let you get back to the story in just a minute because I would like to know what was the worst thing जिसके बाद आपने डिसाइड किया कि मैंने करना ही नहीं है ये काम, and what's generally, ये क्यों blink कर रहा है इस तरीके से, what's generally a good thing, what's a good experience and a bad experience. But I think one of the strangest things that happens is that a brand manager is not the brand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And people get confused about that also. Right. And especially the international brands. The international brands have people that they offload their work, outsource their work to.
Yeah.
Right. And so unko bhi, you cannot possibly tell me that you know exactly what the brand wants.
Yeah,
You have a rough idea, and that's fair enough, right? Then they'll be like, this concept of your video doesn't make sense to me. Bro, मैं क्या करूं अगर आपको sense नहीं? How is that my problem?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And this is why I don't get paid work because I talk shit. So बहरहाल, so what was the best experience? And then what was probably the worst experience जिसके बाद आपने बोला कि नहीं करना है मुझे? And then उसके बाद we'll come to how do you earn, because you're a full-time artist.
Yeah.
So how do you earn then?
Yeah.
But first, what was the best experience?
So I'm not going to name the brand.
No, of course, so please don't.
But I think the worst experiences was Abhi recently in Ramzan. I was working on a series, which is a personal project of my own. And we had a couple of meetings with the client, and the client insisted that I merge their brief with my own personal, IP project. And I do that for Ramzan. And we did all the concepts, we sent them everything. And uske baad they, kept changing. Like, all of the characters should be smiling. Everyone should look happy.
भैया आपको पता नहीं है कराची में हर कोई खुश होता है, कोई सैड नहीं होता। आपको नहीं पता था? मैं बताता हूँ आपको नहीं पता होगा शायद. Everyone's happy, dude.
Yeah. And it was Ramzan, so I like doing these Ramzan tales. I like telling my old stories, childhood stories, and my own stories. So not every story has to have every character smiling. There could be one character sleeping in it. I wanted to show someone sleeping on the table sehri mein. And no,
bro, everyone's
ecstatic. We want happy.
Everyone's ecstatic at 3:30 a.m. They're happy about this.
Yeah. And then the same being kept repeated, and I dropped out of the project because I can't take, like, it's not paying as much. Like you said, na, okay, do I rate my work accordingly? It only pays enough. Like, it does not go beyond that. They don't, like, for example, my main job is mostly in publishing. So I do children's books, comics, graphic novels, and so on. So the amount that pays,
Alhamdulillah.
these
Yeah.
social media, posts do not come close to it. I just do it because एक दिमाग में आता है ना कीड़ा होता है कि if I'm doing this, maybe I can monetize this, like social media पे मैं कुछ कर रहा हूँ. But then आप रियलिटी में बड़ी जल्दी आ जाते हो जब आप ब्रांड मैनेजर से मिलते हो, क्योंकि it's not sustainable. I cannot be dealing with someone, क्योंकि मसला ये होता है, I have kind of found out that these are the people who have to give feedback for the sake of giving feedback because they want to feel like they're doing something.
But with all due respect, I think they just justify their position, na?
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's exactly that.
They're
Yeah.
getting paid, na? They're
Yeah.
getting paid. I think, I don't know if ये study कहीं होगी, North America में, एक मखसूस वक्त था, I think 1960s to the 1980s या 90s का जो वक्त था, 2000s का वक्त था, 1960s से 2000 का वक्त था, यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में, यूनिवर्सिटी तो इज प्योरली मेरिट बेस्ड, जो जिसको पढ़ाना आता होगा वो उसका काम है ना यूनिवर्सिटी में. यूनिवर्सिटी में जो एम्प्लॉयज़ होते हैं, द टीचिंग स्टाफ बाय परसेंटेज increased by 7%. The managerial staff increased by 50 to 60%.
Yeah.
So where शुरू में ऐसा होता था, 90% of the people employed by the university were professors, were PhDs, were educationists, right? Because it was a mostly educational concern. By the end of that period, जो भी period ने measure किया था, 60 to 70% of the people had no actual business in education. They just had to run that institution, and उसमें बहुत सारे ज़ाहिर है menial staff आ गया, लेकिन mostly managers. And फिर वो managers obviously need to once you become the manager of a university, a manager को वहाँ पे प्यार से dean भी कहते हैं, लेकिन really this is a manager. उसकी होती है PhD वैसे, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. And then you come to a lot of these people who don't necessarily, for instance, again, with all due respect, I'm just saying goodbye to all my branded work opportunity, but at the risk of that.
We both are.
हाँ, लेकिन आप दूसरी जगह से मैं कहाँ से कमाऊंगा? मैं क्या करूँगा, bro? अल्लाह रिस्क देगा इंशाल्लाह. But what's it called? What happens is, so there's the brand. The brand has the money, right? Brand को आप सेठ बोल लें, सेठ को आप product बोल लें, product को आप coke बोल लें. It doesn't matter. It's all that's the brand, right?
Yeah.
And they have the goods. And then there's the दूसरी तरफ the person with the goods जो brand को चाहिए कि यार मेरे पास ये product है, तो मेरे पास ये content है. Let's mix together and make whatever. Let's crack this deal. अब because ये सेठ है और ये इतनी बड़ी company है, they don't have time to deal with content creators individually unless the content creator is huge. By huge, I mean international level huge. Like, no company is approaching Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Local context mein, no company, I think, is approaching Babar Azam.
Yeah.
Through an agency. I think that would be a horrible look because, and I think if they are, I think Babar Azam needs to be like, dude, I'm Babar Azam, man. You can just find my number, you know?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, ये जो facilitators होते हैं, I think they cause quite a bit of problems. And again, with respect, I have seen people get turned off of some really, really huge sums of money because these middle managers were making 50,000 rupees less than what they wanted to make for that. And jo amount tha, it was, well, let's just say the 50,000 rupees wasn't even 1% of the amount that the person just said goodbye to because he was like, I'm sick of this.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's middle managers, and I think where I appreciate your disdain, maybe there's room to consider कि उनको भी profit maximize करना होता है उस company को. Company खोली हुई है ना उनने. उनको profit तो maximize करना है ना.
No, absolutely. Like, from business point of view, I understand these fluff positions. मतलब वो ठीक है. But I think my main problem is them like reinforcing changes. Like, for example, if they've hired somebody, they should let them do the job. एंड आई थिंक बाद में फिर हम पीछे वहीं चले जाते हैं कि आर्टिस्ट्स और कंटेंट क्रिएटर्स व्हेन यू आर कंसिडरिंग बोथ ऑफ देम द सेम, फिर वहाँ मसला आता है. लाइक द सेम थिंग हैपेंस, आई हैव वर्कड इन एड एजेंसीज एज वेल बाय द वे, एंड वहाँ पे भी यही मसला आता है कि मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल ऑन मैनेजरियल पोजिशंस डोंट नो एनीथिंग अबाउट creativity or
No, bro,
like
they know about business management.
yeah,
ना उनका ये
exactly,
सीन होता है.
exactly.
हाँ.
So फिर मसला यही आता है कि they don't understand those things. Like for example, I don't plan on working full time ever, but for example, if someone like me who has worked for a while, then maybe if I work 10 years more and I become a manager, I would at least know, the pipeline of work. I would know what struggles or what things you have to do.
But I think there's stories like that, लेकिन वो few and far in between. I think
Exactly.
I think I've met brand managers who were like, नहीं पहले हम यही काम करते थे.
Yeah,
And I think those are the good experiences that you're
Yeah,
talking about. कि यार easy था, कोई मसला नहीं था.
yeah,
But most of these people, they come from a finance background.
yeah.
तो आपको और मुझे जब numbers में तोला जाएगा, तो फिर क्यों? Why should you take a week and I can do it in a day? It's
Yeah,
all numbers,
yeah,
ना?
yeah.
अगर आपकी और मेरी एक ही cost है, तो फिर how does it make sense?
Yeah,
I think that's what you're highlighting. कि it's numbers.
I think this kind of takes me back to your first question as well. Ke, as an artist, I think you have to prioritize or decide what you want to be presented as, or like आपको किस तरह से काम करना है. Like if you want to be a content creator, that's also fine. Like everyone should be able to make money off whatever they're doing. But if you're really focused on art and art itself, then you cannot box yourself like in the same packaging.
फिर पैसे कैसे कमाए, bro? How are you
I mean,
supposed to make
there
money?
are other resources for artists. Like there are other sources that they can monetize on. I think social media though, it's a very new thing, and especially like brands के through काम करना, तो it's not that frequent either. Artists के लिए I feel like हमारे पास brands आते हैं seasonal, रमज़ान, ईद, शायद अभी 14 अगस्त का चल रहा होगा, and maybe like New Year, but that's it. I don't see brands coming to artists for their launch events and other things. So I think that's anyway not a permanent source of income.
No, it's not. You don't think it's feasible?
No, it's not sustainable at all. Like if you want to fully rely on it.
So you said other resources. What are you talking about? Like what is another another avenue? Sorry, you said. What is another avenue where an artist could go instead of going to a brand? What do you think?
I think brand तो चलें, passive income हो गया ना. अब उसके अलावा there are a lot of fields. For example, I mainly work in publishing, like I mentioned. So मेरा काम जो होता है वो print और publishing related होता है mainly.
Local या international?
Both. Okay. So currently, my international project is I have a 2-book deal with HarperCollins. So I'm working on 2 graphic novels for the next 2 years. So
that's super exciting, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was something that took almost like a year and a half to even pitch and get the deal and the whole thing. And it's going to be published in 2025, I think.
Inshallah.
So abhi time hai, but internationally it's that. But I get a lot of local projects as well. Local projects mein, because it's publishing, मेरा अपना भी focus होता है कि I want to do them because I want to work on more Urdu content, क्योंकि we know उर्दू की क्या सिचुएशन है. मैं भी अभी अंग्रेजी में ही बात कर रहा हूँ, बट एट द सेम टाइम लाइक उर्दू बुक्स, उर्दू आर्ट, ऑल ऑफ दोज थिंग्स हैव बिन रियली बैड. बचपन से जो भी देखा है मैंने, उर्दू की किताब देखने का दिल नहीं चाहता था बिकॉज वो 1971 के ज़माने की होती थी.
You're talking about the quality of it.
Quality of it, yeah. And even the stories, I feel like the stories are good, but at the same time, they're not like, up to date. Like they're not of current times. So मेरा एक बड़ा focus होता है कि whatever I'm working on, उसमें उर्दू included हो. For example, अभी I've finished a whole campaign जिसकी एक comic book है, and it's about digital safety for kids. Kids who are using phones now, how they can be safe on the internet. और वो पूरा comic उर्दू में है, and it's about to be launched very soon. So I want to do projects like this in Urdu, कि at least बच्चों को या whoever is reading, मेरी mostly target audience बच्चे ही होते हैं publishing में, so उनको फ़ायदा हो. So that, and international clients as well. I regularly do projects. I'm working on a game right now. And I also do international books. I worked with Bloomsbury last year on a book. So
All that's fantastic, and all of that is news to me. This is how much research I do, but because I just called you on because I was like, you're just really, really talented, mashallah se. But to phir, okay, so how did you though? Because I'm sure you see this. There's other really talented artists also,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
At some point, it's not about talent. I mean, if they're not as good as you, they're close, right?
yeah.
And so they should be able to make some kind of money.
Yeah.
So then, what's the other thing that you're doing now? I know अभी तक आपने ये present किया है कि मैं artist हूँ, and so I'll take my time, and maybe I'll even be moody, and all those things जो artists के साथ होती हैं.
Yes, absolutely.
But there's something that's not gelling up. Then, no, someone who's moody can't be doing all this work. It just doesn't work like that. Because how do you explain you, mashallah say, being in this position then to other people?
I started when I was 17. Like I started working when I was 17. So I used to kind of write because I wanted to earn, and which wasn't paying too much. So I switched to graphic designing and illustrations a bit. That was in 2012 was the first time I got my graphic tablet as well.
Okay.
So I kind of started from there. बताने का मकसद ये कि like I've kind of dipped my fingers like हर industry के part में ना, like I've done designing. I've designed a lot for films. I used to design for short films and documentaries internationally as well, and for a few of Pakistani projects as well, which we'll come to आगे जाके.
Yeah.
But I've done that. I have worked at ad agencies, so I've worked with brands and campaigns and all of that. I've dealt with brand managers अपने बराबर में ही बैठ के भी. So there's that, and I did illustrations, I did animations, and then now I have kind of found my way towards publishing. So I feel like I've not restricted myself shuru se, and I've kind of seen all of these industries that are kind of interconnected as well. कि काम किस तरह से होता है. I feel like उसके बाद now I've come to a point where I know कि this is how it is. This is where I can draw the line. This is how I can get my work seen. There's obviously business going. Like artist obviously is a front, and it is what I want to do. Like I make art, but at the same time, there's a lot of business stuff going on behind as well.
Well, it makes like you can't be surviving in this economy, especially in Pakistan, without being business savvy, no?
Yeah.
So I suppose the question was, and I think this is the answer. Then you just have to put the time in. You have to
Yeah,
put the time in, and you can't stop moving, and you
Yeah.
have to, मतलब whatever comes. अभी तक आपने ये नहीं बोला है कि जो आप माशाल्लाह से अभी कर रहे हो, this is what you were always doing. You were doing whatever came, right?
Yeah. Anytime an artist comes to me, any beginner especially, जब भी कोई आता है, मैं
They
उनको
must, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah. They all have a lot of questions, and they all want to know कि हमें क्या करना चाहिए. And I tell them you shouldn't like do just one thing. You should be a jack of all trades, because if you're living in Pakistan in this kind of economy, you cannot be too rigid. Like you have to know a few things, because shuru mein, like for example, when I was 17, I just wanted to get some money. That's where I started. अब उस टाइम पे मैं ये नहीं कह सकता था कि मैं सिर्फ ये करूँगा, मैं ये नहीं कर सकता. You just have to do things. And उसमें I think उसी चीज़ के लिए I kind of experimented with a lot of things. So for example, एक जैसे मुझे बड़ा कॉमन सवाल आता है कि हमारा आर्ट स्टाइल कैसा होना चाहिए. अब आर्ट स्टाइल इफ आई एक्सप्लेन, इट्स बेसिकली एन आर्टिस्ट सिग्नेचर स्टाइल कि you look at my work and you know it's mine.
तो वो तो बनते बनते बनेगा ना. How are they wanting that from the beginning?
Yeah. वो बनते बनते बनता है, but at the same time, in the international industry, there's also a thing called same face syndrome people talk about, where an artist have such a strong art style कि they can only create one kind of style. तो अब उसमें ये होता है कि you can only do that.
Yeah.
अब unless you're like a really big famous person who can afford to just be himself, it's not very feasible. Like for example, if you look at my work, all of my projects kind of look very different from each other because I try to be like, very flexible. I try to do new things. थोड़ा सा आप मार्केट को भी समझ जाते हो जब आपके पास ब्रांड्स आते हैं या कंपनीज आती हैं, they want to publish something, they don't want your project to look like your previous project. They want their project to look different and stand out and still be good. So they're coming to you for the quality, but not the exact style that you have there.
All right. So I think that makes sense. I think again, I know you don't like this analogy, but I think that is something that you can kind of compare yourself in that context. You can compare yourself to a content creator where they might want the style of a Muro or of an Irfan Junejo,
Yeah.
but they don't want that content per se. They're
Yeah.
like, हाँ नहीं आपकी वीडियो है लेकिन उस वीडियो में you're going to recreate this, and in this recreation, in this world, you will be in love with my product, and
Yeah.
you will not be able to live without my product. It's similar,
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you tell them, when you tell these young artists that there's no magic bullet,
Yeah.
because essentially what are they asking you? What they're asking you is कि यार बात सुने, आप इस लेवल पे पहुंच गए ना माशाल्लाह से. I think and this last little bit of exposition also then explains, ये इससे ये भी वाज़े हो जाता है कि you get to be picky or you get to criticize brand managers now after
Yeah.
12
Yeah.
13 years
Yeah.
of this work.
Yeah.
इससे पहले ऐसा नहीं हो रहा था कि नहीं मैं अपनी मर्जी से काम करूंगा. That was not happening पहले.
Yeah.
Right. So but when these young kids come to you, what are they really asking you? Well, what they're really asking you is कि आप आर्टिस्ट हैं, मैं भी आर्टिस्ट हूँ,
Yeah.
ठीक है ना, बिल्कुल सेम है.
Yeah.
ये मैं 17 साल का हूँ या हूँ, लड़की हूँ या लड़का हूँ जो भी, और आप जो है माशाल्लाह से तकरीबन 30 साल के होने वाले हैं. आप 11-12 साल से तो ये काम कर रहे हैं माशाल्लाह से. तो how can I basically just make the same amount of money, or not even make the same amount of money, just have a similar life?
Yeah.
I think that's what they're wanting.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So what is that exchange like? And does it ever get frustrating? What is that like?
Like I try to help anyone out, everyone out. Obviously बहुत ज़्यादा लोग होते हैं जिनके बहुत सारे सवाल होते हैं, but I'm trying to kind of create ways that they can get at least some kind of counseling from industry professionals. Like for example, I have a broadcast channel जहाँ पर I am inviting guest artists and they're sharing their processes and stuff, so it can benefit beginners. But I know कि क्या 4 सवाल होते हैं.
Okay, 4. Okay, that's good. Fantastic. What are the
Like
what are the
usually यही
हाँ.
होता है कि आप कौन सा टैबलेट यूज़ कर रहे हैं, आप कौन सा हार्डवेयर यूज़ कर रहे हैं, या आप कौन सा सॉफ्टवेयर यूज़ कर रहे हैं, कौन सी ऐप है, और आप ऑनलाइन काम कहाँ पर ढूंढते हैं, या क्लाइंट्स कैसे मिलने चाहिए. Usually it's these 4 questions like people are asking.
But you see, I'm sorry again. You can get back to that in just a minute. But do you see inherent to those questions? You get the feeling that they're trying to वो क्या होता है, growth hack their way out of it.
Yeah.
You know, इसमें भी they're just like कि हाँ मतलब कोई तरीका होगा ना, तुमने किसी तरीके से इनको hook किया होगा ना, or maybe my work just is good and that's what the people want. You know, that's not. Is that ever an occurrence? Like, does that occur to them?
I think like for most of them, I believe कि I don't blame them, क्योंकि एक ये भी है कि बच्चे हैं, they want to learn, and we have very little counseling when it comes to art
None,
in
yeah.
Pakistan.
Yeah.
आप like I've been to a university, वहाँ पर भी to study animation, और वहाँ पर भी like half of the courses were like business related or like very random courses that did not exactly help me in any way.
They're basically like YouTube videos, how to make money with art. 5 ways.
और उसमें ऐड आ रहे हैं ना बीच में फिर कि मतलब आप गए हैं कि सीखना है मुझे कि कोर्स में है क्या, और बीच में हर सेमेस्टर ना 4 ऐड चल रहे हैं कि आप ये पूरी देखें जो आप स्किप नहीं कर सकते.
ये किताब खरीदेंगे
ये
तो
आप
फिर,
स्किप नहीं करेंगे, आप ये पूरी देखें, उसके बाद हम आपको आगे का कोर्स दिखाएंगे. एंड इवन देन like the teachers were not that great. उनका वो यही था कि फॉर एग्जांपल एनिमेशन सीखने आए हैं बच्चे, तो ये एक रूल बुक है and you just make art like this, which is not the case at all. There's like 20 ways you can do the same thing when it comes to art. There's no one specific way. So मसला ये होता है कि काउंसलिंग या इन्फॉर्मेशन या नॉलेज इतनी ईजिली अवेलेबल नहीं है. सो आई अंडरस्टैंड कि बच्चे आके सवाल क्यों करते हैं. ऑल्दो मैंने जब अपने कदीम ज़माने में शुरू किया था पिछले कोई 10-11 साल पहले, तब और भी कम इन्फॉर्मेशन थी. अभी तो फिर भी ज़्यादा अवेलेबल है. आप यूट्यूब पे जाएं, आप GFX मेंटोर या अदर, देयर सो मेनी पीपल टीचिंग अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. पहले इक्विपमेंट नहीं मिल रहा होता था, पाकिस्तान में इजीली मिल जाती हैं चीज़ें. सो अब ये कि इन्फॉर्मेशन है, बट फिर भी उनको ये होता है कि लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल दिस इज़ the person that I like and their work, so how are they doing it, and I want to know how they are doing it. अब लेकिन उसमें मेरा भी हमेशा यही जवाब होता है कि there's no one way to do it. For example, I always tell them कि if you want to do digital art, आप पहले drawing करना सीखो. And you start that on a paper because वो एक familiar medium है. आपने pencil हमेशा पकड़ी है, आपको उस paper पे चलानी आती है. आप पहले drawing करना सीखो, then you start digitally. Similarly, आपको अगर काम चाहिए, you want people to hire you, you have to make a portfolio. अब पोर्टफोलियो बनाना और पोर्टफोलियो रिव्यू वाली चीज़ पाकिस्तान में एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती. देयर इज नो फॉर्मल पोर्टफोलियो रिव्यू हैपनिंग. मेरी यूनिवर्सिटी तक में नहीं हुआ था. इट्स अ कॉमन प्रैक्टिस आउटसाइड ऑफ पाकिस्तान के पोर्टफोलियो रिव्यूज़ होते हैं बिकॉज इट्स इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर यू टू नो वेयर यू स्टैंड, व्हाट यू कैन इम्प्रूव. ये चीज़ें नहीं होती यहाँ पे. सो आई कंप्लीटली अंडरस्टैंड व्हेन दे कम एंड दे हैव दीज क्वेश्चंस, बट एट द सेम टाइम यू काइंड ऑफ ऑल्सो नो के कौन हैक मांग रहा है और कहाँ से एक जेन्युइन क्वेरी आ रही है. लाइक अभी recently, I think 4 or 5 days ago, I got a message and she wanted to know, she asked me very politely, I have a few questions, would you have the time to answer them? I said, yeah, sure, email me. And she has emailed me. I haven't replied yet. I will.
Okay.
But she sent me like her art and she's asked me where she can improve and what kind of things she can do and so on. So I then answer people. Abhi recently, I think 2-3-4 months ago, I was hiring people. So I've made a team of my own now.
Oh, fantastic, mashallah. Sir.
Because I'm working on a couple of commercial projects and I can't do all of them myself alone. So now I have people with me. And I remember posting a story and I got 200 CVs. I have specifically said, okay, I want to hire illustrators. Please attach a portfolio. I'm getting emails with just the CV and it's graphic design. It's not illustration. I think out of that, I could only take out 20 people out of 200.
You think that's because generally पाकिस्तान में यही practice है कि उनको there would have been, I think, opportunities जहाँ पे उनको रख लेते इतने पे ही कि मतलब हाँ ठीक है मांगा ये था लेकिन आप भी वो वाला फला काम कर लो. Like I'll tell you video editing के हवाले से, video editing is a vast field as well, right? लेकिन उसमें when people ask for video editors, they could be asking for मतलब VFX type stuff, or they could be asking for a podcast editor. Do you know what I mean? Which is just cut, paste, right? So do you think they approached it like that कि हाँ डाल के देख लेते हैं क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
हाँ, I feel like they kind of thought कि जैसे usually ad agencies वगैरह में होता है कि like they hire people and they उन बच्चों को बेचारों को exploit करते हैं. They hire you as a graphic designer, then they are making you run their social media, do illustrations for them, video भी edit करवा लेते हैं, photography भी करवा लेंगे. They'll make you do everything.
हाँ bro, उसकी तो कोई बात ही नहीं कर रहा ना कि actually होता क्या है इन बच्चों के साथ. But I just think the application side of it, I think they would apply because they're like, yeah, who knows?
Because they think that's the norm कि जो agencies में हो रहा है तो जब भी तो वो CV attach करते हैं और उसमें skills में लिख देते हैं कि मुझे ये सारी चीज़ें भी आती हैं. Because they assume that's the norm. They assume कि अगर मुझे ये 10 extra चीज़ें आती होंगी जो मेरे काम से बिल्कुल related भी नहीं है तो मुझे शायद hire कर लें. Which is a very sad thing that we have normalized here. कि अगर मुझे हायर होना है तो मुझे ये 4 फजूल चीज़ें आनी चाहिए जो मेरी जॉब से रिलेटेड भी नहीं है तो शायद मुझे हायर कर लें.
And I just need to know the basics or not even know the basics, just claim कि मतलब for instance if I see you edit a video roughly तो मुझे भी पता है ना एक ऑडियो ले रहे वीडियो ले रहे मैं भी कर ही लूंगा. Most people are also just doing that. No, it's just like you just fake it till you make it. That kind of thing is also happening, na?
Yeah. और वो आपको portfolio देख के idea, which is why I always ask for portfolio. I don't care about the CV. I do not like. It's good that you worked at agencies and these studios
good
and stuff.
For you.
But like, it doesn't concern me because even if you've worked at like the biggest studio, but if it's not reflecting in your portfolio, I can tell. So I don't mind that. So इसमें भी like when I got all of these, I made it a point to reply to all the 200 people. And I think उसमें से 200 में से at least 120-130 को मैंने actual में feedback भी दिया कि this is what you need to improve. Like if somebody attached a Google Drive link जिसमें folders बने हुए थे कि इसमें आप art खोल के देख लें. So I told them कि like you need to have like a website like Behance for example where your best work is displayed. So if I am somebody who has received 200 resumes, I don't have the time to open 20 folders and look at everything. I just need a link जिसमें मैं click करूँ मुझे सारा कुछ दिख जाए सामने. So इसी तरह से I also told other people where they need to work on and what they can work on. So which was kind of like a small, portfolio review. But then out of that, I also got really good. I think I'm working with 4 people from that right now.
Mashallah se nahi. I think there are diamonds absolutely in
Yeah,
the rough,
definitely.
right? वो तो issue नहीं है. But ये जो आपने बात बोली ना portfolio review की, and portfolio से भी ज़्यादा just basic etiquette,
Yeah.
basic just how do you approach someone. I don't think they're being crude. I don't think, or maybe they are being crude, but I don't think it's intentional. ये जानबूझ के आपसे बदतमीजी नहीं कर रहे, इनको कभी सिखाया नहीं गया.
Yeah, yeah.
These finer things
yeah.
are also things that you have to take care of, right?
Yeah.
Like for instance, ये जो आपने बात बोली, so potent. It applies to me. It applies to everyone कि यार देखो अगर आप एक portfolio दे रहे हो, we used to learn this at writing school. Writing school में, आप अपनी कहानी, again it's art, right? आप अपनी कहानी से इतना जुड़े हुए हो, आप बोल रहे हो कहानी. They're like, the first thing they teach you, murder your darlings. The second thing they teach you, don't waste the reader's time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The first 2 things, not even about the freaking story at all. Like, how are you not about the story?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like the concern overly needs to be कि यार हाँ ठीक है, ये आप आर्ट तो आप अच्छा कर लो, but साथ साथ don't waste the other person's time. And I think
Yeah.
that's super powerful कि
Yeah.
ये जो आपने भी बात बोली कि your best work needs to be on top, or the most relevant work needs to be on top. Someone recently said that to me about my content. They're like, अगर short form content में आपको actually काम पकड़ना है, brands पकड़ने, they need to see it, right? And my obviously instinctual reaction was indignation. मैं वो scroll नहीं कर सकते क्या?
Yeah.
Bro, listen.
Yeah.
That's what it is, man.
Yeah.
That's what you either are in it or you're not. You
Yeah.
can't complain about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? One of the things that you said that was very, very interesting was you're like, irrespective of what happens, you want people to start at papers, on
Yeah.
papers,
Yeah.
drawing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, mid journey ka zamana hai, AI ka zamana hai. You still hold by that? You still stand with that?
Yeah. And I think that's changed. But I used to believe that you can start digitally directly as well. But now I've realized because it's such a new medium, so you don't know how to draw. And then you're working on a tablet जिस पे आपका हाथ ही balance नहीं हो रहा. And उसमें screen भी नहीं होती है, by the way. So it's just a mouse pad basically that you have a pen on, and then you're looking at the screen and drawing. So hand-eye coordination नहीं होती. So there's a lot of things, and it's very like intimidating at the start, and you just leave it. So I always recommend कि you start on the paper. बाकी जो mid journey की बात आती है, I think you can tell mid journey from afar that it's mid journey. So I don't think there's any comparison with like actual art here. Like you can generate images, but then we were just talking about making your own place and why a brand would come to you. But if a brand can generate, brands तो बैठे हुए ही पैसे बचाने के लिए, agencies actually, not brands,
yeah.
agencies, वो तो पैसे बचाने के लिए बैठी हुई हैं. So if they can generate something on mid journey, they don't need you. So I think उसकी जगह पे तो अभी comparison ही, maybe in a few years when it becomes very, very undetectable. But like right now, you can tell.
Do you, वो जो एक थोड़ा सा colloquialism है, थोड़ा सा slang है, नकल के लिए भी अकल चाहिए होती है. You think that's what is that what you're saying? कि even to use mid journey, because I recently watched someone show people how to use mid journey.
Yeah.
Right? And सिर्फ वो जिस तरीके से इस्तेमाल कर रहे थे ना, उनके बाद बहुत उन्होंने खूबसूरत चीज़ें बनाई. I think रामेश कर रहा था इनफैक्ट. I was just like, bro, मुझे समझ ही नहीं आया आपने ये पहली बार कैसे किया. Right? So it's not that it's difficult to use, but you still need to have the requisite skills, the basic skills at least. I think that's super cool. So are you a fan of AI though? Like, is this good? No.
No. I'm completely against it.
Why?
There's a lot of like ethical issues. Like I know it's going to be here, like it's going to stay
not
here.
going
It's not
anywhere,
going
yeah,
anywhere.
yeah.
And I am obviously going to work around adapting around it. I don't have to like it though. And but it's been made, on our shoulders, basically. You know how it was made by scraping data of artists?
Explain that from the beginning for all the people like myself who are ignorant to this, because again, we've never been fine artists. So from the beginning, what do you mean your shoulders?
So it's basically made artists ka data scrape karke from websites like DeviantArt, Behance, and ArtStation. I think ArtStation ने तो officially भी data दे दिया है. I've been reading that Elon Musk is trying to build something off Twitter. So artists are now kind of worried and they're deleting their art off Twitter because it's going to be their data is going to be scraped from it. And what it's basically doing is कि for example कुछ famous artists हैं जिनका आप नाम लिखोगे prompts में साथ and it will create art in that style,
Oh
in their
God.
specific style. So how has it learned that? It hasn't learned that on nothing. वो उनका सारा art उसमें feed किया गया है and now it's mimicking that. So all of the, AI stuff, art wali side pe jo generative, I don't call it AI art, it's generative images.
Yeah.
So they have been made using artists and their data. But at the same time, it's still very soulless. Like it still cannot tell a story, at least in my opinion. So far from what I've seen, it can show you a pretty image. It can show you something in that image, but it cannot take you through a whole journey and tell you a story.
But so जो आप highlight कर रहे हो, that's close to what or no, that's exactly what the Hollywood writers strike is about. ना कि उनको भी मेरे ख्याल में यही बोला गया कि moving forward, we're just going to basically replicate your work through AI and then आपकी छुट्टी है. And उसमें what was really, really crazy was, I don't know the exact details of it, but what was really, really crazy was there was no conversation around even remuneration. कि आपको एक चलो अब आप काम नहीं कर रहे हो तो आपको एक minimal. It was none of that. So I think उस बात पे strike हो रही है because there's obviously powerful AI tools that will write the whole thing for you. And I don't know. I can't wrap my head around the obsession with it, because again वो जो mid-tier लोगों की बात हो रही है, there's people that have worked really, really hard to become good writers, and there's people that have worked really, really hard to become good artists, and there's people that have worked really, really hard to become good video editors, right? जहाँ तक उनकी ability augment हो रही थी बहुत ज़बरदस्त है. Like case in point, there is now an app, a plugin in Premiere Pro that edits the podcast for you. But that was grunt work anyways. That was not skill work, right? But if someone, वही जो आपने बात बोली कि in the future, if there's going to be a module or something that can just write in someone's style, for instance, or paint in someone's style, how is that okay? And and वही वाली बात, if Musk साहब ये कर रहे हैं, how is this okay? हाँ, आप सही है, you're ushering in a new era, but I think there needs to be room to maybe consider what kind of era are you ushering in?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? ये फर्ज तो नहीं होता है कि बस अब फ्यूचर में हम चलते जाएं. What if it's not a good era फिर?
Yeah. Like not every technology, is good. And the strike thing, the actors are also striking. And like I was reading abhi, Marvel and Disney, jo background actors hote hain, they have taken all of their faces and data. So like,
God,
for the show like WandaVision, usme the background actors were talking like how their scenes were shot. So they were in front of the camera, like from the front, then they were asked from the side, show their hands, show expressions, like how, artists, we make expression sprite sheets for example, games. So that's being done with actual real people. So now they have their faces. What they're trying is that future mein, they don't need background actors at all. So their job is completely gone because they can put their faces in the background everywhere.
Oh God.
So it's the same thing with like, art as well. I don't know if you've seen, but like TikTok or YouTube pe, there's songs being made in actual singers' voices. Like there was this Punjabi song in Ariana Grande's voice, and they have copied their voices now. So it's going all over. It's not just like art wali industry mein, it's everywhere. And although the really good thing is that you can't copyright AI based art right now or anything.
Okay. I hope you never can, huh?
So if you make something and you decide to publish it, I can also go and publish that take it from you, publish it, and you can't sue me because it's not copyright.
Well, I mean, serves them right, I guess. No, matlab, I think, I don't know how I feel about this. मतलब मुझे एक जगह ये लग रहा है कि हाँ ठीक है, फिर it's a true meritocracy. ना हम none of us can. It doesn't matter who got here first. The person who does it the best will be the person who, I suppose, wins in a way. Like if you and I are both just on mid journey, you will win out because आपका skill ज़्यादा है. It doesn't matter मैं क्या करूँ. But to your point, मसला ये है कि I could also take your thing then from
Yeah.
Midjourney and be like, oh, मेरी भी चीज़ इतनी अच्छी है जितनी उमेर की है, फिर क्या करेंगे?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I'm all over the place with this thing.
I was in an argument like this अभी Twitter पे कुछ दिन पहले.
Yeah,
And
एक तो मेरी बात सुनो, उसका नाम X है. सही है ना?
oh,
उसका नाम
sorry.
उसका नाम Twitter है. हाँ.
X से मैं argument कर रहा था.
हाँ.
X पे I was arguing with someone about the same AI thing.
हाँ.
And I think that guy generated some images of some show characters in Pakistan. अच्छा, एक तो बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ जो मैंने देखी है ना, वो ये है कि जिसको भी पाकिस्तान में ला के बिठाना है ना, उसकी चमड़ी सफ़ेद है. मतलब whichever celebrity you're imagining, मतलब अभी तक AI जितना भी मिड जर्नी मैंने देखा है ना, it's like white people.
There's no Michael Jordan, for instance, the best athlete of all time, one of the richest athletes of all time. He's not anywhere in Pakistan for some reason.
He's
but
not,
there's
yes.
Ronaldo and Messi, ये सब लोग हैं.
Yeah, ये सब लोग हैं, you know, shows के characters हैं, super heroes हैं, सब everyone है. But then at the same time, अगर आपको इतना ही creatively use करना है AI को, why can't you go beyond imagining these people in Pakistan and Pakistani clothes? एक तो I don't like that. उन्होंने ऑलरेडी इतना कुछ कॉलोनाइज करके ले लिया है. आपके अपने कपड़े बचे हैं, वो तो रख लें आप यहीं. एंड लाइक उनको रिक्शे के सामने खड़ा देख के लाइक क्या खुशी मिल रही है, मुझे समझ ये नहीं आ रहा. सो लाइक उसमें यू कैन टेल कि समवन हु इज़ एन एक्चुअल आर्टिस्ट एंड दे आर जनरेटिंग इमेजेस, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ वर्क दे आर डूइंग. और जो कोई टेक डूड ब्रो बैठा हुआ है या सम रैंडम पर्सन हु थिंक कि they I have this creativity in me, but I could never explore it. So I'll put this character in front of a rickshaw and I've done my job.
Yeah.
So वो वहाँ पे आ जाती ना बात कि like the same thing that you mentioned. You can tell कि if an experienced person is making something and it's fine if you want to like just randomly have fun. But I really don't like when people use words like I made this or I created this. Or then people reply and say, wow, what talent. Like, I think that just gets to me because मैंने ऐसी ना कोई 10, 11, 12 साल लगा दिए हैं बनाने में. And I'm not saying my work is as good as what AI is making. Maybe it's not. But come on, like, that's not talent. What talent? Like 4 prompt words?
Well, I think you could call it a skill. It's a skill that you can develop where you're prompting up seek low properly.
Yeah.
I think I'm really trying to empathize with you because my thing is writing ना.
Yeah.
तो I think हमारी तो हम गिनती में ही नहीं आए थे ना. चैट जीपीटी पहले दिन बोला अब तो राइटर्स की जरूरत ही नहीं है.
Yeah.
हमने बोला वैसे कौन से हमें इतने पैसे मिल रहे थे.
Yeah.
And we were just like हाँ cool है अब चैट जीपीटी fine fantastic now everyone is a writer. But I think I see some of what you're saying. I think are you a purist in that you have to put in the work to be considered an artist?
Not exactly.
Okay.
Like for example, I make comics. Comics generally is like a very taxing work because एक page के ऊपर 6-8 panels हैं, and there's like I'm working on a graphic novel right now which is 230 pages, and I have to finish that in a year. So I roughly get like less than 2 days for one page. From start to finish, which is not a lot of time. So you do use shortcuts then कि मैं अपने हाथ की because हाथ बनाना थोड़ा मुश्किल काम होता है. So I take pictures of my hands and I trace over them characters के ऊपर fit करके. So you don't have to be a purist, but at the same time, all of it cannot be just trace over of like 10 different people putting it together and just presenting it as your own.
I think that's what your concern primarily is कि हाँ ठीक है ये करना है कर लो, but then don't claim that you've made this. But you just put it together. You've compiled it. You're a compiler.
Yeah.
You can be a compiler.
It's an excellent thing to be used as a tool like AI. You can use it as great references. So anytime I'm starting a project, I make a mood board and a reference board. उसमें basically होता है कि for example एक character इस तरह से खड़ा हुआ है, उसके कपड़े ऐसे हैं, उसने जूते ये पहने हुए हैं. So if I have AI, I can maybe generate that whole thing and then imagine that in my own style and then draw it. So you can use it as a great reference. Like I think in that sense, it's good. So वही बात होगी ना, like how you're using it. I think अगर मैं image generate कर रहा हूँ तो मेरा काम कम हो गया. Like I have these prompts. I wrote those words. I kind of know what this character looks like. Now I can develop it in my own style. So I'm using it in a way where I'm saving time.
ठीक है. What I think this is a hard segue, but we did want to talk about, touch the subject. Well, what is your opinion on NFTs and art collections? Because if you have a problem with people making money off Mid-Journey, which they're doing, fame, notoriety, money off Mid-Journey, what was your opinion on the, मतलब अब तो खैर I think मसला हो गया,
It's kind of died.
it's kind of died down now. But what was your opinion of people becoming wealthy with NFTs and stuff? What do you think that was?
See, wherever there is like quick money and wealth, it's not being done without exploiting a bunch of people.
Okay.
So I think the same thing was happening here. It was kind of a pyramid scheme. Some people did make good money because they were good at it. Like I know people who were in the crypto scene pehle se, and they knew a lot of things. And because of that, when NFTs came and they were artists, so they could make monetize it and make a lot of money out of that.
Now, people like Ramesh, you're saying?
Yeah, Ramesh Nafe, I think, is there. So there are people like that. But then there are a lot of other people who, for example, उस time पे बड़ा शोर चल रहा था कि artists का काम उठा के NFTs पे डाला जा रहा है without their permission, and it's being made money out of. अब मजा आ रहा है कि AI आ गया है.
That's what I was going to say. The same people are like, AI is the best though. AI is the best. लेकिन NFTs पे जब क्योंकि हम नहीं कर सक रहे थे, क्योंकि it still takes a little more, I think, work to make someone else's art an NFT.
Yeah.
लेकिन AI is good. AI is fantastic.
Yeah. So अब जब Mid Journey की 50 तस्वीरें एक जैसी हैं और वो आप NFTs पे लगाओगे, nobody is going to buy it because it's not a collectible now. So I think this might, I hope this might also die down, because I do feel like it just might, क्योंकि जो अभी fascination है ना with like Mid Journey especially. I think we've been seeing it for 6 months. We'll probably look at it 6 more months and then we'll kind of get bored of it. क्योंकि आप एक ही चीज देखते रहोगे तो you would not like looking at it more after that.
Yeah, this reminds me of a scene from one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Did you watch? So I think you're the same age as me, more or less. So we grew up around Jack Sparrow and the Black Pearl and all those things. It was a huge thing when it first came out. The first Pirates of the Caribbean, अगर आप याद करें, it was a huge deal.
Yeah.
Right? उस ज़माने में DVDs होती थी. And Pirates of the Caribbean 3 होता है, क्या होता है, जिसमें Barbossa and Jack Sparrow, Captain Barbossa and Jack Sparrow are having a conversation on a beach somewhere, right? And एक monster होता है जो उनको that haunts them in their sleep और खौफनाक है, पर वो सामने बीच पे मरा पड़ा होता है. And he's like जो Barbossa होता है, he goes कि यार the world's gotten smaller, Jack. And Jack Sparrow goes, the world's the same. There's just less in it to see.
Yeah.
I think there is no more wonder with these things. No?
Yeah.
Anything you can conceive, anything you can imagine is there. For instance, आपने वो जो बात बोली about AI, there's people I will be watching a YouTube video and there will be an entire ad read that Joe Rogan's doing, but it's not Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Right. And I know it's not Joe Rogan because I'm an avid listener of his podcast. And so ऐसे कितनी सारी चीजें जो आप सुन रहे हो, जो आप देख रहे हो, you're just like, I've become desensitized to this.
Yeah.
जो post-truth, सही मानों में जो post-truth society है, that's where we don't know what the truth is. We really don't know what the truth is.
Yeah.
Right. And so वैसे में, I think there's tremendous pressure to go analog, to go back, to start writing with pens on papers and stuff. That was not sustainable for the environment, right? But I don't know how we go about doing that, but there's immense pressure to just go back, have like a wally watch, have like a manual winding watch, stuff like this,
Yeah.
How do you see this moving forward, and how do you feel? Because again, you work in publication, but is it like physical publication? Yeah, are these online projects? Like, because you publish
Yeah. Print में, physically.
Print
Yeah.
में.
Yeah.
But isn't print dying?
There's still market out there for print, especially like on the art side. I think for kids, especially, it's always going to be there. A lot of parents now are very careful with how much screen time their kids are getting because it's starting to mess with their cognitive behaviors, a lot of things.
Yeah.
So they're again moving back to books and stuff. So there is market there. I think Pakistan mein books ki market nahi hai because people don't read. There's no culture like that here. But there is still market out there. But I think imagining कि क्या होगा इसके साथ, it's very difficult to tell. I think because it is going to eventually hit the big wigs. Like, you know, we've seen what's happening with deep fake and the voices and a lot
Dude,
of things.
it's
So
terrifying,
once
yeah.
it starts affecting people who control things, there will definitely be legislations and things on it later on. Once, you know, companies start being affected by it, तो तब तो आएगा कुछ ना कुछ. I think एक चीज मिड जर्नी वाली चीज़ मुझे याद है जो एक मसला एक और भी होता है वो है ओवर सैचुरेशन का. We've kind of seen that with Marvel abhi recently. We've seen their shows and films are kind of flopping left, right, and center because we've been seeing it for the last 10, 15 years constantly, and now people are kind of bored of it. कि like बहुत देख लिया हमने.
Bro, but that's interesting that you say that, right? I think there's that, but वहाँ पे एक ideological switch भी है जो बड़ा मसला है. You will see more and more that the characters that were supposed to be a certain way because of identity politics and because of, you know, the rise of the whatever, the girl boss, whatever you want to call it, उसकी वजह से आप देखोगे there were characters that had arc, that had, you know, drive, that had a full story where there was a conflict and there was a resolution and that's why this person's like that. It's become about identity then now. राइट सो उस प्रोटैगनिस्ट को हटा के और उसको आपने एब्सोल्युटली एक बफून बना दिया है. बहुत सारे थॉर के केस में, निक फ्यूरी के केस में, सबके केस में. और जो खातून है या जो भी दूसरी जो कैरेक्टर है वो हर क्लेम टू पावर इज दैट शी इज अ वुमन. Like there's no development. I think we moved away. Identity politics करनी है ना, there's a smarter way to do it. There really is. Right? But I think we've moved away from the fundamental tenets, like you said, of art, also of storytelling. कि the character needs to struggle. नहीं, जो भी आपकी female protagonists recently आई हैं, they're not compelling, not because you people are just chauvinists and वो traditional gender roles से नहीं adhere कर रही हैं तभी. No, it's not that. What it is you're telling me she was perfect. You're telling me all she needed to do was look within herself and then बस. और अगर कोई उसको डाउट कर रहा था तो वो सब गलत थे. Bro, that's a horrible message to send to your girls because the thing is, what are you telling them? You're telling them you're perfect. You never should change. Really? They're perfect. Like I just get kind of, I'm not getting worked up. Listen, anyone can believe whatever they want to believe. It's not my problem, right? And I know you're going to be a little tentative here because ये लोग जब आपके पीछे लगते हैं ना कैंसिल करने के लिए जब आपको आते हैं, because it's, I mean, ऐसा सोचो ना, for them you're literally contradicting their entire identity, their world. You're like कि आप गलत सोच रहे हो, right? So I have appreciation for that even. But I feel with those movies, na, I think that's what happened. That was a large part of it where I was like, it's no longer compelling. You know, it's not, ठीक है ना, even if it was base, even if it was absolutely base के भाई अब हल्क का एक फाइट सीन तो होना ही है, अब अगर इतनी एनिमेशन तो होनी ही है वगैरह वगैरह, that's fine. What's the story? Oh, there's no story. It's just some people are better than others. Really? We're going that route again? We went there a few years ago, अगर आप याद करो तो.
But like that is what I'm talking about, like oversaturation. Because एक तो वो तो आ गया कि like, you know, the fundamental issues in the writing and all of that. I think people can also smell BS from afar. They know when you're being performative. A lot of celebrities, Hollywood, everything is very, very performative. We've seen it on occasions and different months, and like, you know, they're suddenly like supporters, and then, you know, that goes off. So we've seen that, but at the same time, it's also like, you know, the business aspect, because they thought it was working, so they started churning it out left, right, and center. That is also why the writers are striking, because they're not being paid well. They're being expected to write too much. Have you seen like interviews of Marvel actors who have like, you know, gotten out of Marvel? They all seem so tired of it. They're all like, we're glad that it's over. Like, we're out of it. So it's also that, I think, knowing when to stop, or knowing when, you know, it has had its course. Like, for example, there are shows that are very popular. Like, for example, Breaking Bad, I think, is one of the and it ended where it ended. अब आप उसका sequel निकाल दो अगर कि he's still alive and he's still doing things for the next 6 more seasons. It's not going to work. So I think just knowing कि कहाँ पर रुकना है, कहाँ पर ख़त्म करना है, and where you need to adapt and then innovate and change things. That's very important. So with AI as well, I feel like जो generative images वगैरह हैं उसमें भी it's come to a point where your eye can tell. जब ये नया नया आया था ना, तो people were shocked कि oh wow, this looks so realistic, this is so good. And now everyone's making something or the other thing. It goes on for the next one more year. People will be tired of it because देख लिया, पता है क्या था ये. Let's just move on from it. So I think it's the same for you as an artist as well. You kind of have to know कि अब आपको कहाँ adapt करना है, आपको क्या reinvent करना है. Maybe what was working some time ago is not working. For example, I was making superheroes and I really enjoyed that. It went viral. I published it. But then at the same time, after that, I realized that abhi I don't want to put more of my energies on this because I have other ideas that will work and I'm not at my 100% with this project right now. So I'll come back to it in the future. So I think knowing when to stop is also very important.
How was that work when you made superheroes? I mean, inherently that is a hopeful exercise, na? And
Yeah.
inherently I think it is rewarding. If nothing else, agar aap bachcho ko khush kar rahe ho, and there is something inherently rewarding about that, na?
Yeah.
So how was that experience? How was it received? And what things did you make?
So my idea was, I remember, this was 2019, and I was living alone in Islamabad, and I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I was just sitting down, and I was thinking, we've seen like a lot of superheroes, but हमारे जैसे तो नहीं देखे हैं अभी कहीं पे भी. और अगर वो होते भी हैं तो like Miss Marvel, it's like a diaspora kid. We still cannot 100% see ourselves in her.
I could not stand that character, bro. They did a horrible job with her. With all due respect, and हम जैसे ना हम नाच ऐसे रहे जैसे हमारी पर्सनल ज़ात पे कोई जो है असर हो रहा है. Fawad Khan and Mehwish Hayat, dude, they're good actors. Of course they were taken, right?
Yeah.
Why are you celebrating this? Of course they're good. They're good.
Yeah.
They're fine. But what is the story?
Yeah.
It was not a good story. लेकिन वही जैसे पाकिस्तान में भी ना पाकिस्तानी ब्रांड्स को सपोर्ट करें आप,
Yeah.
उसी तरीके से मिस मार्वल को आप सपोर्ट करें.
पाकिस्तानी सिनेमा को सपोर्ट करें. जब हमारी फिल्म्स आती हैं,
Yeah.
वो किस तरह की फिल्म्स होती हैं, और फिर कहते हैं कि प्रोड्यूसर्स कह रहे होते हैं कि हमारी फिल्में देखें, हमारी फिल्में सपोर्ट करें सिनेमा को. एंड व्हेन यू गो देयर तो उसमें साउंड ठीक नहीं आ रहा होता फिल्म्स में. सो व्हाई शुड वी सपोर्ट इट? लाइक हर 6 महीने पे हमारे सिनेमा का रिवाइवल हो रहा होता है, and then there's still nothing good. Like Maula Jatt was good, but it came out after years.
Bro, but I think Maula Jatt was an allegory of why there's so many good things that we could make, but we don't.
Yeah.
Because of all the legislation that these people had to go through just to get it out. It was done a long time ago.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had just let it release when it was supposed to release. If they'd made their money back, these people clearly are passionate about this stuff. They would have made more stuff. It would have been an exponential. That's just how GDP economy, that's just how everything grows.
Yeah.
You know, one thing begets another, and then there's more opportunities, and that's just how it happens.
Yeah.
It was just so frustrating for someone like myself who's not into the politics at all. I don't understand any of it. I just want to watch Maula Jatt because it's cool, or it looks cool at least.
Yeah.
Right? शुरू में जब आया था, the people like Mahira Khan इसमें क्यों? I don't care इसमें Mahira. अगर आप ये वाली रिलीज होने देते, राइट, 10 और ऐसी बन जाती इंशाल्लाह इवेंचुअली, राइट, बिकॉज पीपल वुड हैव गॉटन द ग्रीन लाइट कि हाँ यार ये अच्छा, मतलब सो वे गुड टू गो मेक अदर मूवीज. बिकॉज एट द एंड ऑफ द डे अगर कोई पैसे लगा रहा है, यू नीड टू लेट देम मेक दैट मनी बैक ना. आप उनका नुकसान करके आपको ये नहीं समझ आ रहा कि अपने जो भी आपने किया उसकी वजह से जनरली जो कम्युनिटी है, जो फर्टर्निटी है, या जो इंडस्ट्री यू ruined it. You know, that's what you did. You ruined it.
But there's a lot of cliques there as well. वहाँ पे भी बड़ा mess बना हुआ है इंडस्ट्री का भी. Because like मैं यहाँ नहीं जाऊँगी, वहाँ नहीं जाऊँगी, इस तरह की फिल्में तो बहुत बन जाती हैं ना, आ जाती हैं फिल्म्स. So the thing is कि पाकिस्तान में बड़ा एक छोटा सा pool है that's doing everything. The same pool is doing TV, the same pool is doing films. उन्हीं चैनल्स के अपने प्रोडक्शन हाउसेज हैं जो फिल्म्स बना रही हैं, और फिर उन्हीं के अपने डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स हैं, और उनके अपने ही ओन सिनेमाज हैं. सो a film like Maula Jatt, which kind of came out from an outside of this circle at least, उसकी वजह से it took so long. If it was a film by someone from the inside, it would have released immediately.
So I think that's what the problem is though, na, कि आप listen, this will be good for everyone. I
Yeah.
know in जो भी हजरात हैं या जो ख़वातीन हैं जो भी उनको लग रहा है कि ऐसे इंसुलर रह के, but listen, eventually अभी जैसे वो ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म्स आ गए. I think you call them OPTV platforms. So I don't know what you call them. But मतलब जो online
OTT.
OTT platforms आ गए हैं, वो आ गए हैं. And there's people like Asim Abbasi who's brilliant. And there's Churales आ गया था. And the thing is,
The censorship then na Churales was not released in Pakistan. Z5 ban कर दिया था यहाँ पे. Churales people they could not watch it here. So that is also a huge issue. Like you can only tell a certain kind of message, and then again the same problem is that it was not from the people from inside the circle.
but that's what I'm saying. Na, is it really even about the ideology then? I don't think Z5 इसलिए ban किया था क्योंकि ideology गलत है Churales की. I just think then it's a little more simpler than what is the overarching message. No, I think it's just कि वो certain people माशाल्लाह से who are prominent in the society उनने फैसला किया कि ये नहीं यहाँ पे चलना चाहिए, नहीं चला.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I
But
don't
then
know,
there's also censorship. I feel like we are very easily threatened by newer concepts and ideas and things. For example, agar we are used to seeing women in a Saas Bahu setting on Hum TV and all the channels, and we only want to see them in that gharelu setting. So anything that's challenging that or showing them in a different light, फिर वो हमारे लिए मसला बन जाता है कि अगर
Yeah.
it's a whole show about women rebelling against that, so we cannot accept that.
Well, so obviously that there was going to be that, but like you said, na, कि I think conditions would still have been more favorable if everyone supported it. We're also not on each other's side, na, bro. I think
Yeah.
overwhelmingly, na, what I see is with all the people leaving Pakistan also, which I think I would like to put to you. Why you're still here? Because if you work, I mean, you work. Most of your work is online or work from home type situation है आपकी. तो अब यहाँ क्या कर रहे हैं? कोई ले लें आप भी दुबई में जाएं, चले जाएं, सुकून से रहें. But I think overwhelmingly, na, I've just experienced, or in my experience at least, we're not on each other's side. And we need to get on each other's side. It's not going to work like this.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just not. I think eventually it's all going to fall apart. और मैं यही बोलता रहूँगा, देखो मैंने उमैर को हरा दिया, आपका पूरा घर जल गया.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Exactly.
And I think that's where we're going. And I think just enough of us are making so much money कि we're like, we don't care, अभी तो हमारा set चल रहा है ना. But this stuff creeps up on you and it goes quick. Right? It goes really, really quick. But what the hell are you doing here, man? Like if you work from home and your work is, I think आपको कहीं पे भी काम मिल जाएगा. क्या कर रहे हो यहाँ पे आप?
मेरा अपना भी ये रोज मैं यही सोचता हूँ रात को.
Yeah.
When I get in bed, I'm thinking, why am I still here? I honestly don't know the answer. There was a point when I was trying to get out and I just couldn't get the visa. It did not work out at that time. But yeah, now that I have kind of like job security, I'm kind of thinking to move because, like you said, my work is remote. I am often traveling, so because I can work from anywhere, so that's not a problem. But yeah, the plan is to go because the main problem is that, like, no matter how much money you have here, you still only get so much in return. Like even if you're paying for utilities or things, you're not getting the full benefit of that. Especially like in Karachi, that's decaying every day. It's getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
So that thing is definitely still there and is something that I want to do. It's also a little sad to think about it because I really like working on a Pakistani representation. Abhi, for example, the graphic novels that I'm working on, usme first wala jo hai, it's about a Lebanese family because I'm working with my author and he is Lebanese American. But we're working on a story for the second one, and I've made it a point to have a Pakistani character
That's fantastic,
developed in
yeah.
it, and so I'm trying to include it everywhere in my work as much as possible. But at the same time, I cannot also ignore like the ground realities. It is a sad, like helpless situation.
But it really is. I think that is the primary concern that most of us have is not, think about this for a second. No, I was gone. मैं तकरीबन 10 साल बाहर था. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वहाँ पे सब सही था, अल्लाह का शुक्र है, सेटल्ड ही था. I came back because for whatever mistaken sense of patriotism, whatever, कि यार ये मेरा मुल्क है, अगर मुझे वहाँ पे कुछ हो जाता है, they'll bury me there or they'll bring me back in a box. I want to be buried here, you know. But even that now feels like such a foolish sentiment. Like,
Yeah.
you want to be buried here, dude? What about living? You're
Yeah.
focused on dying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, bro, I think वो जो sadness वाली बात है और जो helplessness वाली बात है ना, I think that above all else कि यार, especially Sindh में, especially Karachi में,
Yeah.
seems like nothing's getting better. You know, someone once said this to me. They're like, that's a primarily Karachiite sentiment. हमें बाहर जाना है. They're like, Lahore, Islamabad, not that bad.
Yeah.
Not this bad.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it's I think एक और पता है क्या, आज सुबह मैं ये सोच रहा था, a song about Karachi में वो सुन रहा था, उसमें जो है ना उसकी लाइंस ही कुछ ऐसे हैं कि you know, इसने सबको दिया है, इसको कभी नहीं मिला है, and all those things. I think we've, as people from Karachi, we've kind of made it our identity.
Yeah.
कि यार हमें तो नहीं मिलता है. But at some point you were supposed to go do something about the fact कि आपको नहीं मिल रहा है. You
Yeah.
know, at some point we were supposed to band together and be
Yeah.
united in our, you know, at least Karachi-ness or whatever it is that
Yeah.
you want to call it. But yeah, yeah.
But you know, like it's creeping up on like other cities as well. Like I remember I was in Islamabad for like 2.5 years. I lived there.
Okay.
And when I went recently, it just did not feel the same. Like you could see that it's starting to get it just seemed worse. For example, one of the biggest issues here is security, Karachi mein. And that's the same incidents are now happening in other cities as well, even in like Lahore and Islamabad.
Are you kidding me, dude? No,
I've seen videos where people are being mugged and
God.
people are being shot, and like those things are happening there as well. It had to happen because I remember for a really long time, for a lot of years, this was a joke. Karachi was a joke कि अपना phone जेब में नहीं रखना और like जो घर पे छोड़ के जाना and all of that. But the same things have started. It's not probably the same frequency, but it has started happening there. So like you know, I think सबका issue है ये वाला. Plus like you know, अगर वहाँ पे security इतने issues नहीं हैं, and they have better infrastructure, then they have smog and they have really bad rains. वहाँ पे हम कहते हैं infrastructure अच्छा बना है, but that's also being flooded now. So I feel like सब तरफ से ही ना बड़ा गमगीन माहौल है जो यहाँ पर था वो वहाँ पे भी फैल रहा है.
पता है, but ऐसे अगर आप थोड़ा zoom out करो ना, Paris is burning.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
फिर तो हर जगह ही काफ़ी तबाही हो रही है, अल्लाह रहम करे. I think, yeah. I don't know, पता है, someone was saying something online and I was just like, यार कितनी optimistic बात है. This person was like कि जब बहुत ज़्यादा strife या dearth होती है ना, सबसे ज़्यादा opportunities भी तभी होती हैं. I was like, inherently that is also kind of like a colonial mindset, because you're like कि आप जो है ना बस strong, you just stay strongest amongst the weak, amongst the most downtrodden. आपको सिर्फ मजबूत रहना है और फिर आप millionaire बन जाएंगे. Then you'll take over someone's wealth or what have you. And I was just like, yeah, I don't know if I like
You're
that.
capitalizing on it. That's
Yeah.
also a very capitalist thinking कि like अब इसको कैसे हम करें. जैसे like for example the floods that we had in Pakistan.
Oh, dude.
We saw what happened with a lot of donations and things that were being sent, which was not even getting there and was being sold
That was tragic,
in other
bro.
places.
That was tragic.
So-
Listen, it's not even, but at that point, no, it's not even like, you don't feel like blaming anyone or being angry anymore. You're like, यार, अगर ये भी safe नहीं है, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, what on earth, man? अब आप क्या जवाब दोगे जाके?
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
just, that was sad. But you're an artist. We're not supposed to be being sad right now.
I think this is just us getting older as well.
You think so?
Everything getting to you. I feel like when you're younger, I'm sure उस time पे भी मसले होते थे आसपास, but we were carefree.
हाँ, hopeful थे थोड़े से हम.
Yeah. अब ये होता है कि like, you know,
Bro, ये ठीक नहीं हो रहा है, bro.
Like,
12 साल से इंतजार कर
अभी
रहे हैं.
जैसे when I was mentioning Lahore and like floods and stuff, you mentioned like how Paris is burning, because now we have started to feel like there's no place in the world that's like good enough or it's going to give us that, you know, good life or peace that you have. And I think that just comes with being older.
Yeah.
Like,
Fair.
dissatisfaction with everything.
Fair. But this, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, apathy and affect. Affect है हम थोड़ा सा.
Yeah.
Affected हैं हम थोड़े से.
Yeah.
That's super interesting though. Acha, but where would you go? Where does someone like you, who can essentially go anywhere, alhamdulillah, where would you go?
I'm not sure. I feel like अभी मुझे जो भी visa दे दे मैं चला जाऊंगा. I'll be like, just take me. Just take me, take my passport,
No,
give
bro.
me yours.
No, bro, come on.
But I feel like the most opportunities are on the like the US and
North
like North
America.
America and like on that side. क्योंकि like मेरी book भी वहीं publish हो रही है, books जो अब आएंगी they're being published there.
Bro, let's. This has been horrible. ये मुझे शायद पहले मिनट में बोलना था आपको. Tell me all of the books that whatever you're allowed to. Tell me
Yeah.
all of the things that you're working on. Tell me all of the things that are being published. You've hinted at them, but what are their names or कब होंगी क्या scene है?
So the first book is called Tariq's Bizarre Adventure,
Okay.
which is about a kid who is dealing with alopecia, and it's a middle grade graphic novel.
Okay.
So I think 12 plus, something
Okay.
like that age group.
Okay.
So it's a very nice story about like a Lebanese American family, which my author is, and how that kid gets diagnosed with alopecia, which my author did as well, and his struggles and his school life and that sort of a story. The second novel is not named yet, and we're working on the story, but we started pitching this in 2021. Basically, I have an agent in the US. It's a literary agency. उसका भी मैं ये example देता हूँ. So basically, authors and artists outside of Pakistan, they are being represented by agencies. होता ये है कि लिटरेरी एजेंसीज होती हैं, कुछ एजेंसीज सिर्फ आर्टिस्ट के लिए होती हैं, इलस्ट्रेशन एजेंसीज. लिटरेरी एजेंसीज में मोस्टली ऑथर्स और आर्टिस्ट दोनों होते हैं. सो यू गेट एन एजेंट व्हेन यू वांट टू publish something of your own, like an IP, or if you get a lot of like big studio work and you want to be represented on those, then you get an agent. So I got my agent early 2021 when I was moving back to Karachi. And I had an idea, a book, जो अभी तक मैंने pitch नहीं किया. Unfortunately, I still want to work on that. But we didn't do anything for the whole year. And then towards the end of the year, she matched me with George, the author, who had a very fun story. And she said, your style kind of exudes that, because my style, my art has a lot of like food, a lot of cultural characters and significance and focus on those things. And George was also aiming for that in his story. So she matched us. And then what happens is कि आप pitch बनाते हो, pitch deck, जिसमें पूरी script होती है, synopsis होता है, and then you make the cover, the characters, and so on. And then it goes in pitching. And we started pitching last year in April. And I think by June, we had an offer from one publisher, which was a decent amount. But my agent and my author wanted to take it to HarperCollins as well. जब HarperCollins ले गए तो वहाँ से हमें एक और डील आई और फिर उसके बाद ऑक्शन में गया. सो व्हेन यू हैव मोर देन वन ऑफर्स तो फिर वो ऑक्शन होता है. सो उस ऑक्शन में HarperCollins ने हमें एक और बुक ऑफर की एंड लाइक ऑब्वियसली डबल द मनी. सो
Zabardast.
it got taken by them, and I think we announced it last year officially. So it was like a whole years of work, unpaid work us time tak to, kyunki it was just pitching. And then it got taken up. So they have the world rights, which means it's going to be published in the Europe, UK, US, Australia, everywhere. It's very sad though. I asked them if it will come to like Pakistan. HarperCollins is there in India, by the way. And I asked her if it'll come here. She's like, we'll try, but we can't put it in the contract because it's not a profitable region for us.
Bro, my book is called Stories from Karachi.
Yeah.
Guess where it's not available?
In Karachi.
In Karachi. In Karachi, it's not available. It's available everywhere else. All across North America, Europe, कोई भी सिर्फ Amazon पे order कर सकता है Stories from Karachi by Kazi Akbar and they'll get it. Not available here. Not only not available here, ये जो आप इतनी ज़बरदस्त बात बता रहे हो, I tried to get in touch with publishers.
Yeah.
Right? They wouldn't even take a look at it. They wouldn't even be like, it's not good. Okay, tell me it's not...
Locally?
Locally, yeah. I was like, okay, tell me it's not good. Tell me it's not... They're like, नहीं, आप बस 70% profit हम रखेंगे and you pay for all the publishing and the printing.
Yeah.
I was like, he's like, you know who I'm talking about. They're like, we have the biggest distribution network. I'm like, what distribution network, dude?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
You have like 4 stores.
4 stores.
Which does not have most of the books.
Yeah.
There's literally nobody ever in the store. And I know this thing because I took Pak Legion to them when I was self-publishing.
Huh.
And they said the same thing, like 70% they take and like I pay for the printing and everything. I was like,
And you pay for the printing and marketing. वो भी ज़ाहिर है आप ही करेंगे. Marketing, they're not a
they have
marketing.
zero marketing, so they don't do any of that. So what are you getting? Which is the thing ना कि there's no reading culture, तो उसकी वजह से publishing होती भी नहीं है.
हाँ.
और फिर जो चार बैठे हुए हैं उनकी भी बड़ी exploitative सी like you know
Yeah.
practices हैं.
Yeah.
So like this and like जो environment बन के है ना, it doesn't encourage creativity. Like
Bro.
there's so many people outside of Pakistan, you know, who for example, the kind of book deal I have, they maybe don't have that, but they have publishers still that they can directly go to and pitch. So many people run their Kickstarter campaigns and like, you know, they crowdfund their projects and they publish them. And eventually they get a deal after that. So there is that avenue बाहर ये available है कि like you can do that. यहाँ पर ये चीज़ें है ही नहीं. So एक ये भी तो मसला आ जाता है कि like when somebody is starting out, कोई artist अगर है, they have a lot to do. They only have social media where they can do something. जिसमें फिर अगर उसको मोनेटाइज करना है तो वही यू नो एक्सप्लॉयटेटिव किस्म की एजेंसीज और ब्रांड्स के साथ काम करना पड़ेगा बिकॉज एवेन्यूज कम से कम लाइक यू नो अवेलेबल ही नहीं है.
नॉट जस्ट दैट दो, आई थिंक एवेन्यूज तो हैं बिल्कुल, और वो ब्रांड्स के साथ काम करना इतना मुश्किल तो हो गया, यस, बट ऑल्सो आपके जो फॉलोअर्स हैं एयर कोट्स, या आपके जो वो है ना सब्सक्राइबर्स हैं एयर कोट्स, दे डोंट सीम टू बी, बिकॉज famine mentality, they also don't seem to be happy that you're, you know, for instance, that you're charging.
Yeah.
They're not going to be like excited about it कि हाँ यार पैसे चार्ज कर, पैसे कमा, अच्छी बात है, जबरदस्त है, मजा आ रहा है. No, it's not that, bro. आप क्यों पैसे कमा रहे हैं?
Yeah.
आपके क्या मतलब है? हाँ, कितने छापोगे? कौन छाप रहा है, bro? Who is, except like the top 0.0001%, कौन छाप रहा है?
Yeah.
कोई भी नहीं छाप रहा है.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And everyone has a right to, और फिर वही वाली बात है, our concept of risk. मेरे कमाने से आपके कम नहीं होने हैं.
Yeah.
You know, and yet there is just this resistance.
Yeah.
Is absolute resistance. It's not even the quality of the thing that bothers them. They just don't want to spend money on it.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just
also like there's double standards. Like if आपकी बुक जितने की है अगर बाहर किसी ऑथर की होगी और उस पे फॉरेन नाम लिखा हुआ है, so they will buy that.
Yeah, sure.
So एक ये भी चीज़ आ जाती है ना कि why do we not want to accept कि हमारे पास भी जो चीज़ें बन रही हैं they can be good.
Bro, I think because वही वाली बात है ना कि everyone's trying to live in the moment and they're like कि अभी तो अच्छी नहीं है ना. What you're talking about is a longevity of thought where you're like नहीं अभी अच्छी नहीं है, but अगर काजी को बहुत अच्छा feedback मिलेगा इस किताब से, maybe his 5th book might be better than international standards, you know, above international standards. They're just like, yeah, nice, cool, Umair, but we don't have the time. We just don't have the time. Right? And I think that is a sentiment that is generally displayed. I don't have the time to, you know, do this. But so even आपका जो Legion?
Pak Legion, yes.
Pak Legion का क्या scene था?
I self-published that. And उसके बाद I was so exhausted that I just could not get into it again, and then COVID started.
Oh God! But is it available right now?
It's available online. The print was sold out. I did limited 500 copies, and I think अभी personally मुझे किसी का message आया. They were asking how they can do it. So I told them the whole process, but I also told them that you have to keep this in mind. कि I managed to do it because I just got lucky. क्योंकि when I was making the Pak Legion characters, I think the first character was Marvi, which was a Sindhi woman from Sakkar, who was a teacher by day and like a vigilante by night.
Okay.
So she had this big staff that she used to carry, and she would fight with like, you know, people, and she would put a mask on. So that got really viral, and I remember uske baad I thought, okay, let's make another because I'm getting attention. I want more of it. Us time my account was very, very small. Like bichara chota sa mera account tha. I think I had like 2,000 followers. And then I made the next character, which was Sufyan, who was a Nawab who can time travel, and he's from Bahawalpur, and he can kind of control sand and time.
Very interesting.
So that was very fun. And then, you know, I started getting DMs from people who were like, hey, we want a character from here and then here. And then I made the third character, Bazira, which was very fun to make because Bazira was this girl from Sawat. And she had this premonition kind of like she had a really strong sixth sense, and that was her like thing. And us time pe phir I realized ke when I started researching, I kind of understood that Pakistan is so big, like in that sense, like so diverse. That someone who has lived most of his life in Karachi, and I've only been to like Islamabad after that, and I've traveled to the north, but I did not live there enough to like pick on things.
No.
So I realized that we understand their practices or culture or traditions through what we see on the TV mostly, which is very stereotypical, and वो भी गलत information होती है. Like for example, so I started putting out tweets like, I want to talk to people from these areas so I can get it right. Like I don't want to make it like how they show Punjabi characters in Pakistani dramas कि वो एक आंटी होंगी जिनके वो चोटी बंधी हुई होगी, वो घुमा रही होंगी उसको, और वो एक बुरे से एक्सेंट में बना के बोल रही होंगी जो फेक एक्सेंट होगा
जी.
या एक बंदा होगा जो हमेशा चौकीदार होगा जो हमेशा डम्ब होगा. So like, I did not want to do any of these things. And so when I was creating the Basira character, I found out कि वहाँ पे औरतें hijab नहीं बांधती, they take a chadar.
Yeah, it's different.
It's
Chadar is different.
common.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. When I talked to someone local from there, she told me that like a red chadar is kind of common. So I put that in the character. And then the list grew to like 12 characters. I think one character that I really enjoyed making was Afsoon. She is this shape-shifting, like, folklore kind of a character. And she appears only once in like centuries. And she was from Gilgit-Baltistan. So, and Markhor ka, I wanted to put the angle there, like she mostly shape shifts into him. So that was very fun to make. And
But if she appears once in centuries, तो फिर क्या scene है उसका?
because something is happening right now, na?
Oh, what?
There's an event happening.
Spoiler alert है ये क्या है?
Spoiler, I have not revealed that yet.
So then get on it, man. Like, what's this?
Oh, if only I was getting paid for this, I would be doing it. मसला ये आ जाता है ना कि जब रोटी चाहिए होती है ना तो फिर how do you do it? अब the problem with Pak Legion was first वाले का response अच्छा था, although it was a very amateur product because I wasn't that experienced then. But I did it and it was good. The first one was about these brothers, Raad from Islamabad and Pindi, and they were twins and like separated at birth and that kind of a story. And it was very nice. And at the end of that, something is happening. Like, the sky is tearing open and...
Oh, God.
And the follow-up story after that is very cool, but I just could not do that. So, but the problem was that I had a co-author, Iman. She was helping me write because I do write, but it's not my strongest. But then I was doing the marketing. I was having a website made so I could take orders for it. I was going to like printers in Pakistan Chalk so I could get the printing done. फिर वो घर पे deliver हो रहा तो मुझे packaging खुद करनी है. फिर courier वाले को खुद भेजना है. फिर उसके बाद मुझे customer service करनी है क्योंकि people have their orders being cancelled and so on. And then interviews हो रहे थे उस time पे, काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हो रही थी. So it was too much for me with too little return because I just published like one comic and then I realized that I plan on making like 8 issues. How am I going to do this over and over?
That's precisely why I don't self-publish because मुझे भी लोग बोलते हैं तो publish कर लो ना. Following, I'm like, bro, it's not, you don't understand.
Followers don't
it doesn't.
always
The followers are not biased. पहली बात. And दूसरी बात, even if you could get some people interested, what exactly, how much are you willing to pay and what exactly would be the actual value?
Yeah.
I'd rather, honestly, मैंने आपको भेजे में कुछ कहानियां अपनी, I'd rather just give it to people for free. यार आप सुनो, enjoy करो, कोई मसला ही नहीं है, because वही जो आप बोल रहे हो, people will not understand, and but this is not an overestimation or this is not an exaggeration. Some of those things that you just described, going to Pakistan Chalk to get it printed, some of those are life threatening situations waiting to happen.
Yeah,
going this is Karachi, So मतलब यहाँ पे जितनी आप movement mitigate करें and फिर लोग बोलते हैं फिर क्या सुंदर ना छोड़ दें, नहीं, that's why most people are leaving,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly what I was like. I don't think I want to do this. But okay, but can we be hopeful? Are there some people that might be interested? Like some brands, have you approached them?
I haven't approached anyone because I started working on other things then. It is something that I want to work on in the future. Like I literally have the whole story planned out. I have the villain is written as well and the whole...
It's a female.
there's a few villains because there's like 12 characters.
Okay.
So there's a very cool story about another character called Divya. She's from Thar, and
A Hindu.
yeah,
Oh, a Sindhi Hindu then?
yeah,
Okay.
from Thar. This was also a very big point, by the way. At that time, it felt like a woke thing, but at the same time, it was a very conscious choice to make characters that we would see around us. So I did not want like all of my superheroes to look like superheroes. They were like looking like ordinary people. Like there's a character of this mother Hajar from Lahore. So she's like a mother of 3 kids, and she's like a tailor. So she works from home and she stitches clothes, but she has like super strength. So she's like a little short, and she's like
she's a stout lady.
Yeah, she's a stout lady, and she has stopped doing it, but now she's going to do it. So we have a whole backstory written as well, like how she used to fight crime in the streets, and how and why she stopped. I think the last character was really cool. जो Karachi का character था, his name was Balaj, and so that character was never fully revealed. It was just a news clipping that said that the hero has been missing for a decade.
He's been missing for
a decade. So we don't know where he is.
Oh God.
And I never showed his face. Like it was always like hooded. So
oh dude, I bet you money. Listen. I bet you money he's from Liari. I bet you.
I can't.
You can't.
He's missing.
You can't confirm or deny,
because
right?
like nobody knows his identity, right? He's a superhero.
Okay, well, I'm gonna start guessing now. ठीक है ना, आप छोड़ दो. अब ये बस आप भी मेरे पास छोड़ दो. So he's gonna be from Liari, right? उनकी origin story कुछ ऐसी है कि लियारी में जब गैंग वॉर हो रही थी ना, मैं बता रहा हूँ. लियारी में जब गैंग वॉर हो रही थी ना, तो जाहिर है बहुत सारे मसले हो रहे थे. तो उन मसलों के बीच ये बच्चा था तब, लेकिन ये बच्चा जिस भी साइड पे होता था ना, वो साइड जीत जाता था.
Okay.
Right? And that's why they called him Balaj, right? But he didn't know where he came from. He didn't really have parents per se. तभी वो बेचारा इधर से उधर होता रहता था. And he was always a peaceful child, and there was never really any proclivity for violence. It was none of that, right? But yeah, those sides would just win, right? But then now he grows up, right? And then the war's over, and there's all this other stuff going on, and then what ends up happening is I'm making this on the fly.
I'm getting you on board.
Yeah.
I think the pitch is approved.
No problem. बता रहा हूँ ना, अभी देखो, रुको ना अभी देखो, फिर क्या होता है कि he's 17-18 की बात हो रही है, right? And they've always told him, obviously यहाँ पे cultural identity भी आएगी, they've always told him कि तुम जो हो ना, he's never felt like he's belonged, because वहाँ पे.
Sorry to cut you off. I forgot to give you an important cue. Like
no.
he can control things with his mind, so like telekinesis and that kind of a thing.
Bro, मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, यही
बस आप आए हैं वहाँ पे.
हाँ, मैं वहीं पे पहुँच रहा हूँ ना. अच्छा ठीक है. He control things with his mind, right? So, but he never ever wants to fight, right? And so he never completely realizes his power, this child, right? And he's now a teenager. And so he only ever wants things to stop, right?
Okay.
He only ever wants things to stop. He doesn't want anyone to get hurt. So this has also been noted that whichever gang he's with, they have 0 casualties.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Because he only ever wants things to stop.
Did he blow his cover?
No, there's no blowing of cover because it's a war zone. Na?
Yeah.
No one knows what's going on.
Yeah.
It's
true.
just that wherever he is, everything just is okay in a war zone, right? फिर क्या होता है, right? फिर सारे operations होना शुरू होते हैं. He's always called Liari home.
Mm-hmm.
But because operations हो रहे हैं, right? And operations जो हैं, they are coming in with firepower that he's never seen before, right? And कुछ बड़े हैं लियारी में that are like ये जंग नहीं होनी चाहिए थी लेकिन हो रही थी, but we need to save this kid, right? अब उसकी ज़ाहिर है आपने क्योंकि अपीयरेंस रिवील नहीं की है तो मैं ज़्यादा बात नहीं कर सकता हूँ यहाँ पे, इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे मैं ज़्यादा बात नहीं कर सकता हूँ. But yeah, dude, I think Balaj is going to be fine. I think Balaj is going to be fine. I think the problem with Balaj is that his mental block, where he doesn't ever want to go on the offensive. I think that's his biggest weakness.
And like he has to come out now. Something is happening.
Oh, something is
a
happening,
big
yeah.
calamity is happening.
Yeah.
So he has to come back.
Yeah.
There's also another cool character called Omran. He's from Quetta.
Okay.
And so he gets his powers to control like the earth through a bracelet. It's a family heirloom that he wears.
Okay.
And he has a very cool story. He's the oldest, by the way. He's 61. So, and he's like a very, very short and like big man. So, but the story is very sad. Like we wrote a backstory about like how he had a son who he passed on the family heirloom to, but then he dies, and then he kind of has to take the mantle back.
Oh no.
And control, like help the people out. And there's another character called Sama. She is from Hazara, and she can control the air and the wind, and she's the first one to be born in after a generation to have these powers in her family. And she's as an engineering student, and she's currently building her wings that she can use to fly because she can control the air. I think I'm forgetting ek do koi characters, but so I have so much written. I wish I could just draw very quickly so I could put it out. But this very cool story. Like at the end, so there's a person who is gathering all of them. By the way, like at the end of the first comic, the brothers, when they're YouTubers, by the way.
Oh snap! Full circle. They're YouTubers.
Yeah. So they kind of do their tricks and put them up on YouTube. So they have their identity fully out. So they get a message on their screen. They said, like, he is coming. We need to meet. And that's when the sky kind of, tears open purple and there's an earthquake.
Oh.
And that's where it ends. So it ended on a cliffhanger, and I just never...
How long ago was this?
This was almost 3 years.
3 years ago, dude.
Uske beach mein I've written so much, like I've written a lot of villains. Villains be very cool. I've revealed some of them. So they are kind of supposed to be the nature, like the powers of nature. So there's like a fire character called Atish, and then so they look a little weird, alien sort of beings. They don't look very human. But the story for them was that they have existed for centuries in different shapes and forms. And something happened because of which they were kind of scattered. And now they're kind of trying to find the last one that's missing.
The last villain.
Yeah. So they don't know where he is.
Why do they need to meet?
Because these are the natures that kind of run the, the whole universe. Because of them, everything kind of exists. But something happened because of which they were scattered everywhere. So up there coming back, and the last one is death that's missing. So death is not there. So
उनको बोलो कराची में नहीं चेक किया है यहाँ पे है ना क्या मतलब?
I think इसीलिए मैंने publish करना रोक दिया. It's gotten too real. अभी थोड़े time बाद publish करते हैं. वैसे तो there's no hope, but still holding on to it.
Allah him करेगा inshallah. I think something can be done still. I think we could maybe start a fundraiser. I don't know. I think we'll discuss all of that after. पूरे numbers दे दे कितने. How much do you need? But I think something could be done. I think some of this is very exciting, and I think above all else, I think we're really aching at this point for cultural content that is native.
Yeah.
There's a reason why people gravitate towards the YouTube videos of Irfan Bhai and Muru Bhai. There's a reason why the youngsters are as big as they are. There's a reason why Hassan Rahim is as loved as he is. There's a reason why Abda Parveen is a legend. There's a reason why Atif Aslam is who he is. It's because we really, really are aching for cultural content or just heroes, man. We're looking for heroes, And I think as a culture, we're actually beholden to hero worship. और उससे भी अल्लाह करे हम बाहर आ जाएं. But you don't. The thing is, we're beholden to hero worship. लेकिन कुछ requirements होती है. लंबा होना चाहिए, मर्द होना चाहिए, गोरा होना चाहिए, सुन्नी. No. The heroes just come then in all shapes and sizes, right?
I opposed like all of these things. Like my point was कि मुझे ये इसका उल्टा करना है. जो भी है ना.
Bro, देखो, आखिर में ना सिचुएशन पे डिपेंड करता है, इसका उल्टा ही होता है, कभी भी ऐसा नहीं होता है.
yeah.
It's never just that. And people are like, you take this stuff too seriously. No, I don't, because there's people messaging the young stunners, there's people messaging Irfan bhai ki, yaar, you saved me.
Yeah.
Bro, this is what heroes look like, man.
Yeah.
In the real world. And I think it'd be super interesting now कि आपकी दुनिया में, are there actually people, like, is there someone actually doing a podcast? Is there someone actually making vlogs? What are they doing? It's super interesting, right? But I think if nothing else, now all of us need to be in some way inspiring some kind of hope.
Yeah.
I think more than anything else, na, we've just become apathetic and we're like कि कभी ठीक नहीं होगा, भले ना हो ठीक,
Yeah.
भले ठीक ना हो ठीक है ना. That's not the point. The point is to do the thing. What's the thing? Well, the thing is your thing, whatever your thing is, right? The
Yeah.
point is to do that.
Yeah.
I think with these middle managers and with companies, kind of deterring us or deferring us from our thing, I think that's what's caused a lot of the problems.
Yeah.
I really do think so. And I think everyone has a role to play. But if we keep fighting each other कि तुम ज़्यादा privileged हो, तुम कम privileged हो, और ये burger है और तुम अंग्रेजी में बात क्यों कर रहे हो, I think that doesn't serve us at all.
Yeah.
I think, if you and I can come to terms with the fact that we're on the same team, irrespective of how different we are in terms of how we look or whatever else, I think that's where all of this starts.
Yeah.
And so yeah, ये मैं बहुत ज़्यादा भाषण दे दिया, अल्लाह रहम करे. Did you know भाषण is not a Urdu word?
It's a Hindi word, right?
Yeah. I was informed very recently. I presented a script to someone and I was like, मैं बहुत ज़्यादा भाषण देता हूँ. They're just like, आप बहुत ज़्यादा तकरीर करते हैं.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh. All right. Bro, okay. Anything else that you would like to mention before we wrap this up? Anything else in terms of your what we can expect? चलो ये तो टेबल हुआ है ना अभी. For now, टेबल हुआ नहीं ये अभी शेल्व हुआ है अभी.
Yeah.
हो जाएगा इंशाल्लाह. What else can we expect in the coming year?
Year. So, one of my projects that I mentioned about the digital safety of kids, that's being launched.
Are you at liberty to say what it is?
It's with an NGO and a brand.
Okay.
It's a big project though.
Okay, inshallah.
And it's, I think, coming out as soon as schools open, so like mid-August or something. So that is coming out. I'm working on a reel that I'm collaborating with you on.
So why were you? That's just the two of us. Why were you confused about बोलना चाहिए?
No, because there's two. So there's one that's coming out with you, and I'm working on another which is interesting because it's horror. I've never done horror, and it's a horror kind of folk tale. Oh, thank God you're not working with me on that one, bro. Yeah. I don't do horror at all. It's a very fun. So I'm collaborating with Josefa Hustari. Oh, so I know this guy. Yeah. So I'm collaborating with him, and I have a bunch of other people working with me on it because when we discussed, it was going to be a comic, but then when I saw his story, for like what he wanted to do in the folk tale, I thought it would be really cool if I can animate this. So it's a very big bite that I'm taking, but I want to do it because I've never done horror, and I think it would be really, really nice to see it. Well, guess I'm not going to watch it, but Allah ko kamyab kare. It's not going to be that scary, but it's a cool thing because it's a Pakistani folk tale. So like a kind of creature that you would not have heard of. I'm good. Let's talk about other things. So there's that, and I'm working on these Urdu books. So I've done one set of 3 books for the last 2 years with this person, and they make Urdu books for kids. And is bar we're working on a comic, so that's also coming out end of this year. I think is saal ke liye to there's just this lined up because my graphic novels are a little farther ahead, like 2025 and 2026. Inshallah. But all of that sounds very, very exciting. I think, and where do people go for the news for all this? It's just on your Instagram page. Yeah. My social media. Yeah. Or everything is there right now. Or my website sometimes. Okay, so say your name your website and your Instagram page. My Instagram is Umair Najeeb Khan, and my website is also Umair Najeeb Khan. Umair Najeeb Khan. That's not complicated at all. It's just me everywhere, which is, by the way, not my official name. I changed it because I wanted to stand out. So what
what is your official name is?
It's Muhammad Umair Khan, which is very generic.
That,
So I
what?
put my father's name in there.
Huh.
And he was very happy, pata hai, because he didn't put his own name in any of my siblings' name.
Okay.
And there's like 6 of us.
Oh, mashallah.
So किसी के नाम में भी अब्बू का नाम नहीं है. But when I started working, I was working on film posters as well. So I was putting myself as like a publicity designer person. And my name was very, like anyone's name, Muhammad Umair Khan. I think if you search, there'll be like 20, 50 coming up. So I just wanted to be different. And I said, okay, I'm going to use your name. And I just put his name, and he's so happy that I'm the only person using his name.
But that's super interesting. So मेरा नाम काजी मोहम्मद अकबर है ना, but my brother's name is Mohammad Abir Kazi.
Yeah.
Phone आ रहा है क्या ये?
I think it is mine.
Okay. That's fine.
It's probably that guy.
Yeah. But tell him 5 minutes.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Oh, hello. बस 5 मिनट में आ रहा हूँ. It was exactly 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
मैं बोल रहा हूँ आपको. We are at 1 hour 53 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, वो cut हो जाएगा ना बीच में. Yeah.
So my name is Kazi Mohammad Akbar, but my brother's name is Mohammad Abir Kazi, right? And my father's name is Mohammad Ayub Kazi. So I was the first boy born after my grandfather's passing. And so I got his name wholesale as is. So वो अपना नाम ऐसे लिखते थे. The problem is you need to be a boss to be writing a name like that, right? So no one told me, obviously, they never asked me when I was born कि आपको ये नाम चाहिए नहीं चाहिए. उन्होंने बस दे दिया मुझे, right?
Yeah.
फिर मैं मजाक करता हूँ लोगों से. I'm like, he was a boss. That's why he could just write his name however he wanted. Who's going to challenge him? I'm not a boss. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a problem. But I think it's cool. You said you changed the name because you wanted to be unique.
Yeah.
That's been something that's been a theme in your life, wanting to be unique.
I think उस time पे it was purely because I was trying to make my place on social media. And this was a while ago. This was 2017, I think, 2016, 17. And I just felt like if I'm going to be like, trying to do something there, I need a unique identity. I think that's the first thing you learn in like advertising. Or time I was studying as well. Like, you're creating a brand. So it has to be unique to stand out. And that's kind of where I changed the name and decided to put it. And like, it's also like my father's name. So
yeah, I mean, you didn't go far.
Yeah.
But Umair, this has been fantastic. It's been a lot of fun, alhamdulillah. And I can't wait for the comics. I really hope that the Legion comes back. But चलो उसको भी देख लेंगे इंशाल्लाह. अल्लाह खैर करेगा. सही है ठीक हो जाएगा. You've already given your Instagram, everything else. We will do this again soon if you don't leave. Malaysia is excellent, by the way, as a country. But I'm just saying, I don't want you to leave. I'm just saying Malaysia is fantastic.
I'm gonna look into it as I go home.
Malaysia is fantastic. Dubai is Dubai. And but Pakistan is Pakistan also.
But this was wonderful, and we will definitely do it again.
Inshallah.
Inshallah soon.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Umair Najeeb Khan. Assalamu alaikum.